So for our next portion of our notes, and we're going to kind of stay right here because this is really important, we're going to talk about how you graph a two-variable equation. Now when we say two variables, your variables will be x and y, okay? So that's what we mean by a two-variable equation. There's several different ways to graph a two-variable equation. This is one of the most basic. So we're going to go over this. We're going to take this one step at a time, go over this so that you can graph a basic linear function with ease. This is the foundation of every math that you're going to take. You've got to know how to graph a linear equation in every math you take, even AP Calculus. So this is very important. So I'm going to give you a couple of steps on how to graph with this method. In a couple of days, I'm going to show you the slope-intercept form. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to show you this point-slope form. So there's different ways to graph. This is the most basic. So let's go ahead and get started. Step one, the first thing you need to do is solve for y. Now we did this in unit 4. This was the last section in unit 4 called literal equations, where you had to solve for y, meaning that you took everything going on around your y variable and put it on the other side, so that your final answer looks something like this. Y equals something going on. You have to get your equation in this format in order to graph the linear equation. That's why that section was so important, because it builds the foundation of how to graph your points on a line. So that's step one, solve for y. So if you get step one wrong, it's going to mess up the whole thing. So pay attention to your signs, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, when you move something over to the other side of the equal sign, you change the sign. Y'all are still making those mistakes, and that's a mistake you cannot afford to make anymore. Step two, we're going to make a table of values. Now, we did this a little bit in our first section in 5.1. We call this the XY table. That means that you're going to take your little table and label it XY, and we're going to find values of X, plug them into our equation, and find out what our Y is. And each one of these will be our coordinates for our points. So if you have 3 values of X, that'll give you 3 values of Y, and then that's 3 points that you can plot on your graph. So that's step 2. Step 3, we're going to plot the points and connect to make a line, to make a straight line. So this is when you'll need to get yourself a straight edge. You can get a little ruler like the kind we used the other day in class. You can use like just the edge of your ID card or your bus pass or something like that to connect those points and make a nice straight line. Okay, so that's the last step. So what I want to do next is we're going to try one of these. Let's look at example 3 there on your notes. You've got your graph already laid out. Your equation is 2x plus y equals 2. So this is the equation that we want to graph our line. We got to start with the first step. First step says I need to solve the equation for y, which means that everything that's going on in this equation needs to be put on the other side of the equal sign so that y can be all alone. Well, there's only one thing that needs to happen. This 2x needs to move over, and then you can see your y is all by itself, which is what we want. So when you move that 2x over, all you're doing is switching the sign. Your 2x's cancel. You're left with y equals 2 minus 2x. Or some of you may want to say y equals negative 2x plus 2. Now, in a few days, the order is going to be very important. So make sure that when you move your terms around, you take the sign with you. This negative sign goes with the 2x. So wherever the 2x goes, the negative sign goes. So what we're going to do in the next video is I'm going to take this equation, we're going to make our XY table, and we're going to plot the line, the points on that line.